Hey y'all, so I'm back and this is just gonna be a video of me ranting and figuring out why I was getting burnt out, why I was extra tired, why I felt stagnant, why it felt like I was working extra hard even if I was doing something that I loved. So, I realized that the reason for this is, well, firstly, the past 3 months have been like emotional, long, and unforgettable because they taught me some lessons. Okay, these past 3 months, my business has been skyrocketing, and also some things in my personal life that I have to heal through. But all in all, through this whole experience, I realized that my boundaries were not as good as I thought they were. Now, when I talk about boundaries with people, yes, but also just what you allow in general. So I know that me learning how to set boundaries has been a long process because it all started last year when I was working a job that I did not want, but I thought there's no other possible way that I could make this money. So I need to put up with it, get through it, work hard, continue. Basically, suck it up. But I quickly learned that a boundary that I needed to set was not doing something that I don't want to do. I think like a couple of videos ago, I was like, yeah, I'm not doing nothing that I don't want to do. Nothing. In this lifetime, people talk about like, creating your own reality and manifesting and things like that. But it's so very important to actually step into the life that you were trying to create. So I always tell like this friend of mine, like, what would millionaire you be doing? What would easy life you be doing right now in this moment? Would they be working this job that they don't want to work? Or would they be putting the effort into their creativity? Not even talking about money at this point. When it comes to easy life, that could mean anything, whatever it means to you. And so, if you don't want to be constantly stressed out, constantly being told what to do by someone, or constantly taking on energy that you didn't originally want to take on for no reason at all, then you need to step into that you imagine at your highest. So for me, it was not working for little to nothing, not doing the most for change, and also not trying to convince everybody that I'm super nice. I feel like all my life I've had like a resting bitch face, and even like teachers at school would call me out for it. And so I've gone my entire life being super nice to people so that they don't think I'm a bitch. And so that leads me to doing things I don't necessarily want to do because I'm afraid, like, with the way that I'm looking, the expression on my face right now, and also me telling you no, like, you're gonna think that I hate you or that I want to beat your ass, basically. And so now that business like has picked up for me and I work for myself, or even when I was working for my employer, I learned how to say no. Okay, like, this is also something that I learned to say because, you know, like, when you're in struggle mode, when you're in survival mode, and you're scared of being without because of like past traumas and things like that, you agree to a lot more things that you don't want to do than it were to be if you were in your abundant state of mind. But when I say that, I mean, like, especially if you're an entrepreneur or a creative, we tend to lowball ourselves or take on small offers because we're like, at least it's an offer at all. So somebody might say, oh, I'll give you $60 for your painting, when you know good and damn well it's worth like $400. And you say, okay, because you just want to take the money, or you're just happy that your piece is getting sold anyways. No. Okay? The price is the price. Your boundaries are your boundaries, and the answer is the answer. Okay? And so once I realized that I was tired of overworking for little to nothing, I feel like it was all to like learning my worth, learning to know my worth and add tax. Okay, like, I should be able to work, pay my bills, buy groceries, create, rest, rejuvenate, and work again. But most of us can't do that. Or we can. I won't say that we can't. We can, but we don't think that we can. And so it ends up being a continuous cycle of work, tired, stressed, work, tired, stressed. And I was tired of living in that cycle. So I was like, you know what? It's time to take risk. I feel like setting boundaries also comes with risk. Because even with saying no, yes, we're saying it because we know our price, but we also risk of losing that client, losing that opportunity, losing that particular money, or losing that friend. But in the end, it's all worth it on a grander scale. It's all worth it to protect your peace. Basically, I learned that burnout is linked to lack of structure, lack of boundaries, and basically just doing the most for no reason, basically. And so in order to stop this, like I said, I just took risk. Quit my job, the biggest risk that I've ever done, okay, baby, because rent be renting. Definitely. Rent be renting. Life be lifing, okay? If you feel that you need to take time for yourself, do that. Do not wait for the perfect opportunity. Do not wait for the right amount of money to be saved, because stress kills. Anxiety kills. Overworking kills, and you're gonna kill yourself for someone that doesn't even care about you. People pleasing kills, okay? Let those friends go. Set those strict boundaries. Let that job go if it's doing too much. It's all in trusting spirit, trusting yourself, and trusting that you deserve more. You deserve to be able to rest. You deserve to be able to take yourself on self dates and afford it. And I found that, like, once I write it down, whether I'm journaling, manifesting, scripting, whatever the case may be, once I write it down, it's done and I'm living it. Like, I wrote down one day, I hadn't even I would say gotten paid, but since I'm an entrepreneur, my money is like sporadic and random. But I had gone a couple days without getting a sale, and I was like, you know what? I want to start taking myself on self dates. Like, abundant me would take myself out on a self date and just spoil myself. I'm gonna go out to eat, I'm gonna go shopping, and I'm just gonna have the time of my life. When I tell you, I was like, we're gonna start this today. Like, I know I just manifested it and wrote it down, but we're actually gonna start like right now to bring my manifestations into fruition. I went out, had lunch, went shopping, and got like 3 big orders. And I was like, you know what? Like, this is exciting, but I already knew, because this is what I am worth. This is what I deserve. I deserve to have self-care days, spend time with myself, spoil myself while still being abundant. Back when I used to study political science, I had this one professor come in and he gave a motivational speech to all of us. And one of the things that stuck with me is that he was like, you deserve for good things to happen to you. So I feel like with that, over time, I learned to stop being afraid of what could happen next. Like, oh, I could lose this person if I do this, or oh, I can lose out on this amount of money if I don't take the opportunity, or if I go and spend this on myself, when will I make it back? I learned to stop being so fearful of the good things that were happening, and learn to stop feeling like things were too good to be true. When something good happens, I like to journal it down, and basically express gratitude for the moment. And I like to say like, oh, good things are always happening to me. Like, I always take myself out on self dates, like every week. I always spoil myself, and abundance comes back rolling in. Like, I love this. Express gratitude for those moments. You know, don't let your fear consume you and consume your happiness. And so, with burnout and anxiety, I learned to set a structure for myself. Whether you set a routine, a morning routine where you take time for yourself in gratitude, a weekly routine where you set a number of hours or days where you're like, nobody can bother me during this time. I am not on call. No, you cannot call me into work. No, I'm not going out with you this time or this day. It's strictly for me. Even creating boundaries, you know, with self. During this amount of time, I'm not going to be on social media. Social media can also cause us to feel stressed, burnt out, or anxiety when we start looking at what other people are doing and we start feeling behind, or like we see someone doing something good and we're like, oh, let me go finish hustling because this is something that I should be doing right now. No, you deserve rest. Rest is the key to removing creative blockages and stagnancy. Rest is really needed spiritually and creatively and physically. You cannot continue if you don't rest. You cannot think properly if you don't get the proper rest. You cannot heal properly if you are not getting the proper rest. So for me personally, with my conjure shop, I don't work Friday through Monday. That's a lot of days. That's a lot of days I could be doing work, but I don't. because for what I do for work, I need the proper rest, I need the proper rejuvenation. And so then that goes back to charging with what you're worth and knowing your worth, because you should be able to take that many days off and still be okay. You should be able to lounge around and still be okay. Yes, I know the economy is a factor. I know the government is a factor. But I'm talking about living the life that you're striving for. Even if you can't take that amount of days, you set aside a couple of hours where you're just laying around doing nothing, because that is what you deserve. That is what is going to allow you to have that breakthrough in the proper healing. And alongside rest, time with self, time with nobody else but you. Because in order to get to the root of the problem, we have to spend time with ourselves. We have to know what's going on in here and in here. Why do we feel this way? Why can't we set the boundaries for ourselves? Why do we feel like we don't deserve to go out and have a good time? Why do I feel like I have to work extra hard for an employer that doesn't deem me as worthy? And why am I charging less than I'm worth? Why do I keep going back around these friend groups and relationships that aren't to my standards, my true standards? So those are some questions that you can ask yourself when you spend time with yourself. Spending time with yourself is the key to healing, overcoming stress and anxiety, because you start to realize what you're stressing about and you start to realize how to fix it, the medicine that you need for it, the remedy for it. And you learn to stop allowing what you're allowing. Also, spiritually, with burnout, it's important to stay up on your spiritual hygiene. Do your regular cleanses, especially if you work or you're around a lot of people throughout the week. On the weekend, take a spiritual bath. Do a foot wash. Cleanse off that negative and stagnant energy. Okay? And protect yourself for the week ahead, for the week that's coming. This was just a quick chit chat and a reminder to stop doing things that you don't want to do, no matter if it feels like you have to. You don't.